Welcome back to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. Online, you can find us at retire210.com. If it's time to sit down and talk about your retirement, talk about how this is all going to work, get your questions answered, that's why we have this show. Once again, 210-985-6200. And Jay, as we talk through some of the issues of retirement, I hear you guys say this term. You have to have different buckets of money. Hear it all the time from financial advisors. So there's different buckets. I mean, do you subscribe to the bucket theory in retirement planning? Is that part of the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have different parts of your money working for you in different ways and trying to achieve different goals. So if you call it buckets or strategies or whatever it is, the concept's the same, yeah.
Okay. So I envision I need to have a bucket for things that I'm going to spend, in the next couple of years, and then I'll have a different bucket for the next 5 years and a different bucket for the next 5 years. There's also different risk buckets. This is a risky bucket. This is not a risky bucket. This is short-term needs. This is long-term needs. This is taxed. This is not taxed. I mean, there's a lot to really consider here, isn't there?
That's why there's a whole industry built around it, right? Because there's a lot going on. And I think what you're getting at here really behind the scenes is for most people, their retirement is going to be multiple decades, right? You kind of think, well, I've worked, a lot of the clients we have come from employers in the city here, and they've worked there for 30, 35. We've got one client who worked for USAA for 48 years.
Oh, my
right?
gosh.
48 years. Pretty incredible, right?
You don't see that very much anymore.
You less and less, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of look at that and like, well, I worked there for almost 50 years. And, I guess now I'm going to move into retirement. And the thinking is like, well, that was the majority of kind of what I had to plan for: savings, getting kids through school, paying off debt, etc. Well, she's probably not going to have a 50-year retirement. All right, let's be serious about that.
Yeah.
But she's probably going to have a 25-year retirement. Right? She's going to be in retirement for a while, and it's not as simple as I'm going to put this all in a CDs. I'm going to put this all in a savings account. I'm going to stuff it all under the mattress and just distribute it. And you're going to be halfway through that plan and say, "Wow, this was a bad idea. I shouldn't have done that."
Well, there's. I go out and play golf with my friends, and they know I do this show with you. And they go, "You do that show with Jay? Where should I put my money?" It's like, call Jay. Don't talk to me about it. But when you think about it, there's only 3 or 4 places to put your money. There's the bank,
right.
CDs. There's the market with stocks and bonds and all that goes along with that. There's the insurance companies with annuities, and there's probably real estate. You could probably put that in that category as well. Do you think it's important for everyone to have their money, at least a little bit of money, in all of these different buckets? Is that important?
Yeah, we try and encourage people to diversify it out to achieve the different goals, right? So if we do have a multiple decade retirement that we're planning for, which you really should, right? Because the average person is going to have a multi-decade retirement. And we put our money in the bank and we're getting, well, right now you're getting 3%, which is kind of weird to say that that's a good rate compared to the past, but probably it's not going to stay at 3% in the future. It's probably going to go down. Do we need more than 3% to live our retirement that we want as far as a return? Probably, right? If we move to the stock market and investing in a portfolio of bonds and stocks, and can we get some growth out of that? Yes. Are we going to get some volatility? Absolutely yes. So can we have something there but not everything? Probably a good idea. Can we put something that's guaranteed? You mentioned the insurance companies. Depending on risk tolerance people have, that might be another bucket that we add as well. There's purpose for all of them at different stages of the plan, absolutely.
Gotcha. So the whole idea of diversification, you might look at Jay and say, I'm diversified. I have 17 mutual funds. Well,
really?
That's all in the market. That's not really diversified.
That's
because we have to also think in the market and out of the market as well. These are the conversations that you can sit down and have as you sit and talk about your retirement. We'd love to have that conversation with you. That meeting that we talk about here on the show where we sit down and do the analysis, that is at no charge. Give us a call. Let's do that meeting with you and see, give you a better idea of what your aspects are, what your possibilities are for your retirement. Here's our website. Here's our phone number, retire210.com. Again, retire210.com. When you get to the site, you're going to see our 5-step process. Go ahead and look through that. And also at the bottom of the page, a place for you to put in a little information there. And our team will reach out to you and say, hey, what would you like to talk about? What are your concerns about retirement? And we'll start the conversation there. Or you can call us at 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. So, Jay, you and I have talked a lot, and this is part of the retirement planning process. We come in with this 401k or this IRA and the idea of moving money over to a Roth, a bucket that's not taxed anymore. The Wall Street Journal did a story about that process, and they said one of the things that can be a snag with your conversions is that this could take a period of time. You just said not that long ago, 5, 7, 10 years it could take. But during that time, you're in retirement, your Medicare premiums could go up because you're moving money and that becomes income. And that makes your Medicare premium go up. Now, that process could take a number of years. You could pay a lot of money there. Does that mean that we should do all of these conversions before we start taking Medicare, before we retire? Is that more advantageous? Or can we do this right into our retirement in the first couple of years?
Yeah, so what they're referencing here is something called IRMA, and I'm going blank now on what that actually stands for. But basically, it's if your income is over a certain level, your Medicare premiums are not $150 or $170 or whatever they are right now. They go up, and there's a scale even within that. And I think at the moment for a married couple, it's $212,000, and then at a certain point it goes up from that. But that's what they're talking about is increasing that burden on you for your Medicare costs, right? And we do plenty of conversions and distributions for people that are in Medicare age already, but it's having the knowledge of not going over a certain limit, right? And if I do, what are the effects of it? So I do belabor the point a lot. I know probably people are sick of hearing about it. The importance of getting ahead of your RMDs, not 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 or 15 years ahead of when you're required to do it, is paramount. Because if we have someone who retired at 60, well, we've got 5 years before we even have to worry about the IRMA effects, the increase on the Medicare premium, right? But we can also know, all right, we've got a 15-year runway here. The first 5 years, we have a little bit more freedom. The next 10 years, we can still do this, but we need to be careful about how much we accelerate this. With a plan, it's pretty rare to see people run into this IRMA situation. The situations I've seen people do it when we're even planning for them is typically executives that are retiring, and they're going to get deferred compensation paid out, right? Over multiple years after the retirement. There's not a whole lot they can do about that, but that's not the average person, right? The average person can get ahead of this and plan it.
Is your Medicare premium calculated every year according to your income? Because if you have one big year where you did a conversion, or maybe you took your pension lump sum or something like that, and your income was really high, does that affect your Medicare premium for a long period of time, or just 1 year and then it recalculates again?
Yeah, so even the 1 year, you're going to notice it because it's not just a little increase. It's pretty significant. You want to avoid this in general. So you mentioned lump sum, right? We have lots of people that have older pensions, right? And they'll take the lump sum from the pension, but as long as we roll it into an IRA, it's not recognized as income. All at once, right? And then it's, now it's in an IRA, now it's a future problem, but we can start planning for that as well. With good planning, 99% of the population can avoid this problem.
Give us a call and let's talk through it. It's one of those things that you might not even think of when you think about your planning for retirement. And I think it's really good to be able to bounce these things off of Jay, and because he can say, did you think of this? So that's really what we want to talk about. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website. Let's sit down and talk about your retirement today and all the ins and outs and the what ifs of it all. Retire210.com is our website, retire210.com, or 210-985-6200, 210-985-6200. All right, we hear it all the time. The number one fear of people in retirement is running out of money. The number two fear is people trying to figure out inflation, and that's kind of gone a little bit more by the wayside right now. But J.P. Morgan did a study of many of the people who are in retirement and using their services, and it says they talked to 5 million retirees. That's a big survey. That's a lot of clipboards, my friend.
It sure is.
5 million retirees, and they found that those fears are overblown. All right. I like the sound of that people are doing okay in retirement. I wanted to ask you, Jay, is it more common for people to come in and find out they're going to be just fine, or is it more common for a meeting to take place and say, we got a little work to do. We may have to push this off just a little bit further in your working years, and we got to do some more work. What's more common?
By far, the majority of people that come in, they're going to be just fine.
Okay.
They are. You know, we have the one here or there that comes in. And look, to be completely honest, the people that know they're not ready to retire financially, they know it. They know before they come to see us, right? So I had a lady come in and she's fed up with her job, right? She doesn't want to work anymore, and she's on the younger side. She's 55, and we spoke with her a couple of years ago, and she came back in. She's like, "Look, I got to start working," and I already knew her financial situation from back then. I thought, okay, this isn't going to be pretty. Maybe she's done an amazing job in the last couple of years saving, paying off debt. Let's kind of run these numbers again, and she has something like $140,000 in her 401k. I'm just, look, I don't need my calculator for this one, right? Just it's not practical. And at the end of the meeting, she's like, yeah, I kind of knew. I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out, right? But the vast majority of people are, hey, I think I've done a good job. I've really, I've tried to max out my 401k. I've tried to minimize all of my debt. And I think I'm okay. I don't know. I need to see that plan. I need to see it visually in front of me. What is my situation? And I want to circle back to what you mentioned here about J.P. Morgan's 5 million people, right? Mm-hmm. And the mention of that, people are doing okay. They're not running out of money. You'll actually probably even find another survey that shows that people die with a certain percentage of their wealth still intact, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what's interesting, is that those are the numbers, and I would believe that those numbers are right, that most people are dying with whatever it is, 30, 40, 50% of their wealth still around. That's not the plan that most people tell us that they have, though. Most people don't have the plan of saying, I want to leave this big legacy to a charity or to my kids or whatever it is. We've sacrificed to accumulate this wealth, and we want to enjoy every penny of it that we can. Well, it's kind of interesting, right? If that's the plan that people have, but that's not what's actually happening, what's going on there, and I can tell you what it is that because there is no plan in place, people don't feel that they have the freedom to actually spend, because they don't know what their situation is. So if you start retirement with $1 million and your idea is we're really going to live it up and we're going to spend that $1 million, but you're dying with $500,000 of it still in your account, what's going on? Well, what's going on is that you didn't really have a plan set up to spend that money, so you had to be cautious. And guess what? That day's coming for all of us at some point when it's our last day on earth and you don't know where that is and there's no plan for it. So you keep saving, you keep restricting what you want to actually do, and that's what happens.
Yeah, one thing is affecting the other is this whole mindset of I'm going to run out of money. So if you feel that way going into retirement, you're not going to spend and enjoy your money like you should.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I think we did a story last week or the week before about the average retiree. They talked to just people in retirement who had $500,000, $500,000, and they looked at them like 10 years, 15 years in, and they hadn't even spent 10% of their money. And it was like, do you have a big pension and you're living on Social Security? Maybe that's the case with some people, but people are afraid to spend because they're afraid to run out of money. Well, we don't want that fear for you. We want to give you confidence to go into retirement and spend the money to do the things you want to do. And in order to do that, it does take some planning. It says, this is how much you have, this is what we can do, and this is how much you can spend per month, and go enjoy yourself, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. That's the permission we want to give to you. Give us a call, give us a look. Let's do the math on your retirement. Retire210.com is our website. Go down to the bottom of the page there. You'll see a place where you can put in a little information, and we'll reach out to you and have the conversation. Retire210.com or 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. Well, you don't have to go too far at work for somebody to say, work smarter, not harder. I hear it all the time. Use AI, all this stuff. Organize your life. Simplify your life. When it comes to retirement, in some ways, we need to do the same thing. Right. And I know that when you sit down with somebody, part of what you do, Jay, is simplifying their life. People with too many accounts, people with, they come in with that shoebox or that file cabinet full of insurance papers from 1993. For some reason, you're keeping all this stuff. Talk to me about helping people simplify their financial life as they go into retirement.
I can tell you what one of our clients did recently to simplify their financial life is we have a shred event every year after taxes. And she's come like 3 years in a row, and she's like, yeah, this is the stuff from my dad from 1950. I'm going to finally shred this. All right. Oh, she's funny. That's what it often is most of the meetings we have with people is like, hey, look, I've got something at Schwab. I've got something at Fidelity. I've got this at Vanguard. I've got this old 401k. And I say, it's all over the place. And frankly, I'm worried I'm going to forget about one of them. So let's get them all under the same umbrella.
Right. So there's a consolidation of accounts sometimes to make things a little bit simpler. I mean, we've talked about RMDs. If you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 different 401ks and IRAs, and then you got to figure all that out, that gets a little hard to track all that stuff down, doesn't it?
It's also in the efficiency of the investments, right? Okay. So we started doing this some time ago where we'd have someone who comes in, they've got $1 million, and they say, well, I'm going to have 500,000 over here and I want to move 500,000 to you. And I just said to them, I was like, hey, look, let's just stop right there. Like, you've either got to bring all the accounts or it's best that we not work together. And they said, well, why is that? I said, because this is what's going to happen is we're going to manage these accounts under certain parameters that you give us, certain risk tolerance, certain goals that we've got going on. And I said, this is what's going to happen because I've learned this the hard way from being in the industry for a long time, is at some point you're going to say, am I invested the right way? And my answer to you is going to be, I don't know. And you're not going to like that answer. And the reason I'm going to give you that answer is I don't know what's going on with the other side of your account. Okay, I don't know what's going on over there. Are we competing against each other? Are we mirroring the same thing? And you really shouldn't be doing that. You should be more diversified. What's going on? And that's what's actually happening when you've got accounts spread out all over the place as well. Even if it's somebody who's managing their own money, you'll find often they've got several accounts at several different investment companies, and they're not working together. They're not part of a greater portfolio, a greater plan, a greater risk tolerance, because they're all over the place, not interacting with each other.
Well, do you find that I know that I've jumped from job to job, and I have a Vanguard account, I have a Fidelity account, I have all these things, and we tend to be creatures of habit. Mm-hmm. So if I was in my Vanguard account 15 years ago, I probably put the money in an S&P 500 fund. Probably. And I probably put something in maybe a cash account or a bond fund. And then if you look at my Fidelity account from 10 or 15 years later, guess what? I did the same thing, because I don't know to do anything else. So do you find that people have these accounts and then they do the same thing in each account, and that there's all this overlapping going on?
That was exactly my point with it, right? Is that there's no unified plan for it as well. Okay, this is something else to think about. If/when something happens to you having all these accounts all over the place makes it very difficult on your beneficiaries. You know, is there one that they're going to miss? Maybe, right? If you've got them centralized somewhere, and they can still be diversified within the one account, right? Or at the one custodian, they can still be diversified. But it makes it so much easier for the estate planning side of it too, if you can go to one place and everything's taken care of at once.
Give us a call. Give us a look on our website. It is retire210.com. retire210.com. And as you go to the bottom of the page, you're going to see our 5-step process. And the first thing is an introductory meeting. Jay, what happens at that meeting? I mean, if somebody gives us a call and say, yeah, I want to talk about my retirement, tell me the process that starts to unfold there.
Yeah, that first meeting, it's just a chat like you and I are chatting right now, Randy. It's let's find out what's going on with you, what you have to work with. We don't know when someone sets a meeting with us in the beginning, are they a multimillionaire or are they in debt up to their eyes? And you know, those are two different conversations, obviously. Some people are kind of surprised when they come in. Look, well, what are the recommendations going to be? I was like, well, let's find out what's going on with you first before we can make any recommendations. It's learning about the person that's come in to spend some time with us. It's taking that information away, putting a plan together, implementing that plan. And this is one of the biggest things that's overlooked in the industry, is they get to that part of, we've got this plan together. Okay, great. Well, you know, we'll see you later. This is what I can guarantee you is any plan, even the plans we create, I tell people, this is what I can promise you. It's not going to go exactly like this. It's not going to go exactly like we've planned here, because things are going to come up. Things are going to change. There's going to be a change in presidency. There's going to be a war somewhere in the world. There's going to be, hopefully not another pandemic, but issues like that, right? And we need to be able to pivot and switch around that. So it's the continuing monitoring of that plan is the biggest gap that you see in this industry.
Yeah, I think we all think that the very first meeting is probably the most important. And in many cases, it probably is, to see if we have a good working relationship and we can work together. That's really important. But that last thing, the ongoing support and the monitoring that goes on, and having that relationship with a financial advisor as things happen in your life. And Jay says, you know, things happen. It could be good things, could be bad things, could be good things, you know, could be good things as well. So let's go with what we have. And as things take place in your life, let's adjust to them and your financial plan as well. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website, which is retire210.com, retire210.com, or 210-985-6200, 210-985-6200. Thanks again for listening to Clear Skies Retirement. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more, remember to hit the like, follow, or subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. We'll see you next week here on Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.